All right, we're back and we are still on page 40 or maybe starting 40, depending on how you look at it. We already did this. We summarized. It took a really long time. I mean, this is, you got to look at every aspect and it takes a lot of thought process. So it takes a long time to summarize these things, but a lot of really important stuff in here. A, absolute value is the amplitude. Those are words that if you don't know them, you're just kind of stuck. It's how far up and down you can go. If A is greater than 0, we get the normal pattern, which follows basically the unit circle. If A is less than 0, you get the opposite of that. All the maximums and minimums are going to switch. B is just going to tell you the period, 2 pi divided by B, 2 pi because it's the natural period of the function. And then B is also the number of cycles, so the pattern, the number of cycles that you get in 2 pi. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Then C and D do exactly what you would expect. C is a shift horizontally, D is a shift vertically. D also tells you the sinusoidal axis. So those are all the things that we worked out last time. And now what we want to do is make sure we can rewrite things so that they look like that. So I'm going to actually do these problems. And then it says it at the bottom, but like, I'll just be honest. I don't really do this unless I need to. So the need would be if the value of B is negative. If B is negative, I will definitely go through this process. B is not negative, I'm probably not going to do it. But anyway, let's see if we can rewrite this. So we have y equals, I'm going to leave the 3 where it is because it's not bothering me. The 5 is fine. All right, I need to make this pi over 2 the quantity x, and then I'll make it plus because that's not really a big deal. I'm going to factor pi over 2 out. So factoring pi over 2 out is kind of equivalent to dividing by pi over 2. So what I'm basically doing is I'm saying that we're going to do pi over 2. So I need to do pi over 6 divided by pi over 2, which is 1/3. So plus 1/3, or I could say minus negative 1/3. So let's identify A, B, C, and D. So A is going to be, A is -5, right? Because it's the coefficient of sine. So it's -5. The amplitude is 5. It's the absolute value of that. So A is -5. That means we flip the pattern because of the negative. We can go 5 up, 5 down from whatever the sinusoidal axis is. B is pi over 2, which tells me that the period is 2 pi divided by B. 2 pi divided by B is 2 pi divided by pi over 2 is 4. So the period of this function is 4, which is a little weird because there's no pi in there. But then honestly, in the real world, most functions don't have a period that involves pi. A day is 24 hours, a year is 365 days. It's like we have hours as units, we have days as units. So you're going to see B have pi in it a lot because that's what takes you from pi to having like just a rational number really for your period, which you would think would be like more normal. Like 2 pi is irrational, and that's what we're basing everything on. Like that's kind of a weird idea. So C is, so it should be x minus C. So C is actually negative 1/3. So that's our shift. And then D is 3, and D is sitting in front because it's not ambiguous when it sits in front. So the sinusoidal axis would be 3, and then you can go up 5, down 5 because the amplitude is 5. So we know a lot. So that's what I would do there. So here, all right, I'm going to do a couple of things. So first, I'm going to say y is equal to 2 plus sine of, you know what I'm going to do? No, I got this. Don't worry. I'm going to take out a negative to begin with, and it'll be 3/2 x minus 2 pi. So when I'm not sure what to do, I do things a step at a time, and it's, I think, a really good strategy, but it's up to you. Sine is an odd function, so the sine of negative theta is the negative of the sine of theta. So I'm going to take out that negative sine, and now I have 3/2 x minus 2 pi. Now I'm going to factor inside of here and take 3/2 out. So it's always the coefficient of x that you're taking out, but you want the coefficient to be positive. So that's where this is coming from. X, if I do 2 pi divided by 3/2, that's going to give me 2 pi times 2/3, which is 4 pi over 3. So it's minus 4 pi over 3. And then I'm actually going to move this up so I can fit A, B, C, and D. Okay, so A is the coefficient of sine, which is -1, which flips the pattern. And it actually just flips the pattern. It doesn't like change the amplitude. The amplitude is 1, which is the normal amplitude. B is 3/2. C is 4 pi over 3. And then D is 2. So we want to be able to identify those things because you need to know them. So let's try this next one. So here, -4 cosine. So we're taking out 3/5, which is the same as dividing by 3/5. So pi over 2 divided by 3/5 is going to give me 5 pi over 6. So minus 5 pi over 6, and then plus 6. Whoops, that's not a 6. 6. Okay. So A, B, C, and D. A is the coefficient of cosine, so -4. Negative flips the graph. The amplitude is 4. You can go up 4, down 4 from the sinusoidal axis. The sinusoidal axis is y equals 6. So you can actually go 6 plus 4 is 10, 6 minus 4 is 2. So anything between between 2 and 10 is going to be the range of this function. These are the sorts of things you get from doing this. B is that. C is this. And then D is 6. All right. And let's do this last one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to deal with that negative in front of B. -14 cosine. So I'm just going to take a negative out of everything. I get 3/5 x minus 4 pi over 3. And I'm good. Cosine is an even function. So the even function just kills that negative. Cosine of negative theta is equal to the cosine of theta. So that negative, no need for it. Symmetric over the y-axis. So -14 cosine of 3/5 x minus 4 pi over 3. And then finally, 100 minus 14 cosine. Take out the 3/5. And then we divide by 3/5. So this actually is going to be minus 20 pi over 9, which is really weird. But you know, it is, that's what it is. So nothing we can do about it. Okay, and then let's find A is going to be -14. So it flips the pattern. Amplitude is 14. You can go up 14, down 14 from the sinusoidal axis, which is y equals 100. So we can go up to 114. We can go down to 86. That's going to be our range. B is just 3/5, which makes the period 2 pi divided by 3/5. So 10 pi over 3. Kind of weird, but you know, you go with it. C is 20 pi over 9. So that's our horizontal shift, left or right. Right in this case, because we got positive 20 pi over 9. And then D is 100. And I already mentioned that that is the sinusoidal axis. So being able to rewrite these is an important skill to have. It uses a lot of things that you need, like even and odd functions, factoring, dividing fractions, complex fractions, like such a big deal. You need to just be really good at those. And there's a lot of opportunities to practice it. So you're in luck. If you're not super great at it, you'll be doing it all the time. But anyway, I'm going to end this video here, come back in the next one, and do some more. So I will see you there.